Majo Madden in Veracruz, Mexico, looking out the 5th floor window of my hotel room. I'm going to tell a story about some interactions that have unfolded along this strip of seawall and in behind it here in Veracruz on my last day here. And it has to do with what I call right relationship. I actually got that from the Buddhists. And the concept is basically, how do you find the most spiritually correct way to relate to each person you encounter? And it's complicated. It requires a lot of listening and a lot of patience, a lot of paying attention to what's true in a situation. It's not about commandments or rules. I say in lots of other videos that running your life based on rules, including the 10 Commandments, is a real spiritually immature way to try to run a life. It's just not equipped for doing it. And it leaves out the most important part, which is listening to spirit, listening to your relationship with life in every situation. At one point I wrote a book called Radical Integrity, and I thought what I defined as integrity was not just telling the truth, but being whole, bringing forward all the different parts of who you were, being an authentic person. So being authentic would guide my life. Then later on, I more was saying the thing that most guides my life is I want to have an open heart. That's what I'm aiming towards. Then I got influenced by Brene Brown, who talks about dialectics, and the dialectic of hers that has influenced me a lot is between open heart and solid boundaries. She's a social science researcher, and she says that in her research, the quality of human life that most connects with happiness and emotional health is something they define as open heart. And I said, boom, that's how I run my life. But then she complicated it for me by saying that the second quality that correlates most with open heart is solid boundaries. Now, I grew up a nice middle-class kid, and I was taught to say yes, taught to be agreeable. And so it was a natural for me to be a cheerleader, to build my practice, my psychology practice around affirmations with people. And the whole open heart thing fit exactly in with that. But she's saying, no, to be really healthy, sometimes you need not to come from open heart so much as from solid boundaries. And there's a logic to that for me, because if you know you can slap those solid boundaries into effect when you need them, you're actually more able to open your heart, because you know you can protect yourself when you need to. And that's really the story of my last 4 years, is those two in dialectic with each other. And I've gotten even better at loving, but ferociously good at solid boundaries. Now, if you look at the beige building there's two big hotels. The really big, more gray one is the DoubleTree. The beige one, the shorter one, is the Royalty Hotel. The public beach down there is the Royalty Beach. And I spent 20-some days in an apartment on Abasolo Street, which is the street right in front of the beige hotel, just a block and a half up. And in that apartment, I dealt with a con man, a guy who I thought was, I'd been introduced to him by my really good friends who lived there. So at first I was ready to give him the benefit of the doubt. They said, no, don't trust him, he lies and cheats. Well, he was pretty clearly crazy, and I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was just craziness. But then I discovered he was a con man and would take me for all he could. So I tell in other videos how I had to learn to play him before he played me. So that complicated things. So this morning, I'm walking along the seawall, because now I'm not in that apartment anymore, I'm in the hotel here. And I walk every day up to the beach and swim way out there, and it's a wonderful thing for me. As I was walking there, maybe you can see the big black sculpture there. It's a big black sculpture there. Just beyond that, I was looking for a place in the shade because it was hot already at 10 o'clock and the sun was hot. Looking for a place to stop and have a cigarette. And usually if there's somebody else sitting, these little concrete structures down here, little houses, if there's somebody in there, I don't sit in there. And up ahead there were two benches facing each other. One had a family, and one had one guy who looked like a tough street guy, and I've had some problems with them here. One of the guys who dives for monedas or coins on the waterfront back here stole a $1,000 battery from me. I always had thought they were good guys. Now I've learned to not trust them. And in fact, since that event and me calling the police, they haven't been there. For the last couple of weeks, they've not been there. So I guess I did a good thing there. And I hit him in the head with this phone as he was making off with that battery. So I think I did a good thing there too. That was a solid boundary. So as I go up to sit down, I thought, it's a big bench. He's at one end of the bench. I think I'll sit there. So when I approach a person, my question to myself is, what's the right relationship? How am I meant to be with this person? And when I sat down at the other end of that bench, yeah, he was clearly a rough street guy. His bottle of whiskey empty was sitting next to him, and the cardboard he had slept on overnight was there. So I thought, okay, is he one of the guys who's going to try to hit me up for a cigarette? Because I only brought just enough for going to the beach and back. I'm not going to give him one. So I have to do solid boundaries. Well, I lit up. He didn't ask for a cigarette. So I'm just kind of listening to myself. We're both sitting here. Is something meant to happen between us? So I tried to initiate friendship. I said, "¿Cómo estás?" And he just stared at me. He didn't want to respond to pleasantries. "How are you?" So I thought, okay, I don't know what's meant to happen here. So there's an old guy who walks along there with like a cooler with popsicles. They're homemade popsicles. They're frozen Kool-Aid, basically, in a little plastic bag he wraps it up with. And I never want them. And I had just enough money for other stuff. And I haven't bought it. I always just say, "Oh, gracias, senor, no." And that's what I said. And he never even looked at the kid. Well, there's a pecking order along the beach. The vendors look down on the street people, the guys who are drinkers, and sleep it off on the ledges down there. So he never even looked at that kid. But the kid indicated, he said, "Senor," he obviously wanted to get one of the popsicles. The guy just would not acknowledge him, kept on walking. So bingo, something went off of me. I looked at the kid, I said, "You want one of those?" "Yeah." "Well, what kind do you like?" And he says, "Whatever." And so I caught up with the old man. It was 10 pesos. I had a 20 peso note. I bought two. I came back and handed them to the kid. He actually had monedas, coins. He was going to pay me. I said, "No, it's okay, fine." So as I walked on, I said, "Bingo! That's what I was here for." He just had an old man being mean and dismissive and rude to him. And now he had an old gringo be nice to him. He didn't say thank you. I wasn't looking for that. But maybe on some level it'll go, I don't know, that guy gave me some respect. Maybe I'll respect myself. I don't know. I don't know what will come out of it. But I knew that's what I was there for. And I had to be patient, had to listen. And I was walking on air as I walked along the beach way to the far end where I swim. And then past those boats. I don't know if you can see those boats. Let's try to expand it a little bit. I was happy because I got it. And not I got it, but life coached me.